Module 2. Culture and Stories. Exercise 1, page 25. A.
2. Taking a guided tour of a museum.
B.
6. Attending a rock concert.
C.
5. Having a ballet lesson.
D.
1. Reading a classic novel.
E.
3. Practicing playing the flute.
F.
4. Watching traditional dancing.
2A. Seeing the World. Exercise 1A, page 26. One.
He got caught in bad weather.
2.
He made friends with the locals.
3.
He caught the wrong bus.
4.
He tried some spicy food.
5.
He traveled on an ox cart.
6.
His backpack got stolen.
7.
He went on a boat trip and got seasick.
8.
He got bitten by mosquitoes.
Exercise 2, page 26.
John's Travels. Hi, I'm John Thompson from Chicago, USA. I'm 19 years old, and I was traveling around the world all last year. I learned so much about different cultures, and I had some crazy experiences too. I thought I'd share some of my adventures with you. I hope you enjoy them. Traveling by ox cart. I was traveling in India last September. One day, I somehow caught the wrong bus while trying to get from Delhi to Agra to see the Taj Mahal. I ended up in a small village in the middle of nowhere. Next bus back to Delhi tomorrow, the bus driver told me. Just then, a man was passing by with an ox cart. The bus driver stopped him. Before I knew it, I was sitting on top of some sacks on the man's cart, and we were heading back to the city. Most of the way, it was raining, and mosquitoes were buzzing around the ox and biting me. Sanjeet only spoke Hindi, but he was smiling and laughing all the way, and he even shared his lunch with me. It was very spicy, but delicious. It took us 4 hours to reach Delhi. Despite the rain and mosquitoes, it was a lot of fun. Big waves and little monkeys. I had another crazy day while I was visiting the Phi Phi Islands in Thailand in March. One morning, I decided to go on a long-tail boat trip around the islands. Unfortunately, the wind was blowing strongly that day, and before long, I was feeling very seasick. So I was very relieved when we stopped at a place called Monkey Beach. Hundreds of monkeys were running towards us as we got off the boat. But then, as I was feeding a piece of pineapple to one monkey, another grabbed my small backpack and quickly ran into the bushes with it. I tried to run after it, but it was too fast. The bag had my passport in it. I never saw my passport again. I had to get a new one from my embassy in Bangkok.
Exercise 8A, page 27.
I was travelling in Ecuador in July when something really crazy happened to me. One day, I decided to go on a kayaking trip down a river in the Amazon rainforest. I got into a kayak and set out with a group of other travellers. At first, it was fantastic. The scenery was very beautiful and exotic birds were flying all around. But then, the river started moving faster and suddenly I hit a rock. My kayak turned over and I fell out of it into the river. I was trying to swim back to my kayak when suddenly I saw a strange shape in the water. It was moving quite quickly towards me. "Oh no, Sarah!" my friend Jane shouted. "Quick, get back into the kayak! It's a crocodile!" Well, I was terrified. I swam as quickly as I could to my kayak, but I couldn't get into it. I turned around and saw that the crocodile was getting closer. I was screaming and shouting. Then, suddenly, I looked down, and there was no crocodile, just a big branch from a tree. I was so relieved. Everyone was laughing, but I didn't think it was very funny.
2b. Times change. Exercise 1, page 28. The story of Google. Google was the brainchild of Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They met in 1995 at Stanford University, USA, while they were studying computer science. You could say Google started with an argument, as at first Sergey and Larry didn't really get on. In fact, they argued and disagreed on just about everything. However, there was one thing they did share: a commitment to making the Internet more user-friendly. At that time, Internet search engines were slow and complicated. They listed search results according to the number of times the search term appeared on a page. Larry and Sergey found this frustrating. An idea came to them. Why not list search results according to a website's popularity? So they set about creating a search engine that could calculate how important a particular web page was. At first, their research received a fair amount of criticism from experts, but the two friends didn't give up and managed to raise enough money from investors, family and friends to support themselves. While they were developing the search engine, Larry and Sergey realized it needed a catchy name. They were inspired by a mathematical word, Google, which means 1 followed by 100 zeros. They thought it was a really good name, considering the endless amount of information available on the net, and so Google became Google. In 1998, Larry and Sergey set up their office in a friend's garage, and Google went online. Soon they were answering thousands of search requests per day. People really liked Google's simple, neat design, and of course its speedy performance. Before long, Sergey and Larry moved their operations to a new headquarters they called Googleplex. In 2000, Google introduced 10 foreign language versions and officially became the world's most popular search engine. Google now responds to about 1 billion search requests per day, and its success shows no signs of fading. For most people seeking information, Google is the place to go. C. Culture Corner. Exercise 1, page 30.
Lady Gaga, the Queen of Pop. With a string of #1 hits, an armful of awards, and chart-topping albums, Lady Gaga is a worldwide sensation. How did it all start, though, for the Italian-American girl from Manhattan? And how did she achieve such phenomenal fame? Lady Gaga was born in 1986. Her real name is Stephanie Joanne Angelina Germanotta. She could play the piano by ear from the age of 4, and later said her musical inspiration was the classical composer Johann Sebastian Bach. Gaga always loved performing and dreamed of fame from an early age. At 17, she became one of the youngest students at the Tisch School of Performing Arts in New York. After that, she followed her dream the hard way, moving out of her parents' home to a cheap flat while trying to earn a living as a singer-songwriter. It wasn't easy. Gaga spent a few years performing in clubs without success. Then, her luck started to change. She began writing songs for successful artists like Britney Spears and the Pussycat Dolls, and music executives quickly spotted her talent for writing pop hits. Meanwhile, Gaga was developing her own image and performance style, wearing outrageous costumes, wigs, and makeup. Lady Gaga set up her own website, as well as MySpace, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook profiles to promote her music. This was the turning point. She grabbed the attention of the world. She even made her songs available as free downloads. Lady Gaga also used these social media sites to chat with fans about various things, such as her latest fashion statement or the lyrics of a new song. In fact, Lady Gaga's Twitter page now has 7.5 million followers. Lady Gaga shows no sign of slowing down. She writes songs, she sings, and she dances surprising audiences with her unusual clothes. Her talent and hard work have made her a reigning icon of today's pop culture.
2D Everyday English. Exercise 1, page 31. One,
An opera.
2,
A musical.
3,
A ballet.
4,
A play.
5,
A pop concert. A rock concert.
6.
A classical music concert.
Exercise 2A, page 31.
What was it like? It was fantastic. The dancers were amazing. Did you enjoy it? Not really. It was nothing special.
Exercise 2B, page 31.
Hi, Julie. It's Mark. I tried calling you on Saturday night, but you didn't answer your phone.
Oh, hi, Mark. Yes, sorry. I was at the ballet.
Really? What was it like?
It was fantastic. The dancers were amazing. What did you do on Saturday?
Oh, I just stayed home with my brother and we watched a film on TV.
Did you enjoy it?
Not really. It was nothing special. Listen, do you want to go for a walk later?
Sure.
Exercise 4A, page 31.
Really? Really?
Exercise 4B, page 31.
I don't believe it. What's the problem? Sure. No way.
2E, amazing performances. Exercise 1, page 32.
Chinese opera. If you want to watch a music performance that combines song, dance, and striking design, just forget about the latest pop video. Take a look at a truly original style of musical performance, Chinese opera. Last month, I was on a trip in Shanghai. I was staying with my Chinese friend, Mai Li. She insisted that we go to the Chinese opera, and I have to admit the experience was amazing from beginning to end. Opera has a long history in China. In ancient times, actors performed the operas on the streets, on temporary stages, with only hanging lanterns for lighting. It's funny to think that such grand art started out like that. We arrived at the theatre just before the lights went down. As the curtain rose, the actors came on stage in their beautiful costumes. The fiery reds and ribbons of gold and silver were like a kaleidoscope of colour. The costumes go all the way back to the street show days, when the actors used to wear bright colours to stand out in the dark. The singing was quite strange, very sharp and high-pitched. Just like the costumes, the singing style was really ancient. The street performers used to sing that way so that their voices could carry over the crowds who gathered to watch. The opera we saw was Lady White Snake, a classic Chinese folk tale. A white snake changes into a beautiful girl and then falls in love with a human. But the actors didn't only tell the story through song. The dancing and acrobatics were fantastic too. The actors used not only their faces, but also their whole bodies to act out the story and show their emotions. These actors trained very hard at opera schools for years, from about the age of 7 or 8. There weren't a lot of stage props or scenery, because the actors use a lot of symbols to help tell the story. An actor galloping with a whip, for example, means they are riding a horse. Doing somersaults from a table or a pile of chairs means they are running down a mountain. The actor's makeup was incredible. Each colour has a special meaning and reveals something about their character. Red means loyalty and bravery. Black shows a warrior or a wild character. Blue means cruelty, and gold and silver means mystery. At the finale, it was breathtaking to see them all on stage together in their bright costumes and makeup. I didn't think that opera was for me, but I can't believe how much I enjoyed it. You must all see a Chinese opera one day.
F. Haunted buildings. Exercise 1B, page 34. Exercise 1C, page 34.
The Haunted City of York. If you like the idea of exploring historic places around the world, the city of York in northern England should definitely be on your list of places to visit. The Romans founded this city in 71 AD, and it's full of fascinating history and culture. It's a lot of fun to go on a city tour of York and walk along the ancient city walls. Visit York Minster, one of the largest medieval cathedrals in Europe, and wander down the pretty cobbled streets. York is also famous for something else. It is one of the most haunted cities in the world, with about 140 ghosts. In fact, York's many nighttime ghost walks are very popular with tourists, as they are an entertaining and spooky way to learn about the city's history. One York ghost story, however, stands out above all the rest. It's the story of the Treasurer's House, one of York's many historic buildings. One day in February 1953, a plumber, Harry Martindale, had been in the cellar of the Treasurer's House since morning. He had heard lots of stories about the place being haunted. Just before midday, he was working when he heard a strange noise, like a trumpet. He looked back and saw the helmet of a Roman soldier coming through the wall. Harry couldn't believe his eyes. Then a whole soldier on a horse came through the wall and left through the wall on the other side. 20 more Roman soldiers followed him. They were marching unhappily in pairs, and they were carrying shields and spears. What Harry hadn't noticed was that the soldiers weren't walking on the floor of the cellar, because he couldn't see their legs. When he realized that, Harry ran out of the cellar terrified. He found out later that some Roman soldiers had gone missing in York many centuries before. Maybe the soldiers he saw were the missing soldiers, and they were walking on the old Roman road below the cellar. Want to know more? Visit www.visityork.org for more information about York and its ghostly attractions.
G. Skills. Exercise 2A, page 36.
Types of books. Classic novel. Crime thriller. Non-fiction. Biography. Horror. Adventure. Romance. Science fiction. Fantasy.
Exercise 3, page 36.
This is 93.2 FM. Good morning and welcome to The Big Read, our new weekly show that finds out about books our listeners are reading. Firstly, we have Stacey on the line. Hello, Stacey. What have you read recently?
Oh, hello, Max. Well, I've just finished reading a wonderful historical thriller by Kate Moss called Labyrinth. I usually read biographies or romance novels, so this was something very different for me. I was surprised, but I really enjoyed it. The plot is very interesting. It's about two women who live in different centuries, but they discover the same secret and try to protect it. It's very exciting, especially at the end.
Thanks, Stacey. That sounds like a great read. And now we have Brian on the line. Brian, what do you have for us?
Hi, Max. I've just read a book called The Poet because all my friends were telling me to read it. It's a crime thriller by Michael Connolly about a crime reporter who is investigating the death of his brother. It has an amazing plot that's very exciting and fast-paced. I couldn't stop reading it. This is the first crime thriller I've ever read, but now I want to read every one I can find.
Brian and Stacey, thanks for being on the show. That's all for this week on The Big Read. Don't forget to tune in next week for more great book reviews from our listeners.
Exercise 4A, page 36.
What are you reading, Susie?
It's a fantasy novel called The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman.
What's it about?
It's about a girl who lives in a strange universe.
Is it good?
Yes, it's great. I can't put it down.
2H. Writing. Exercise 5A, page 37.
Last spring, I went on holiday to Rio de Janeiro with my friends for Mardi Gras. It was a beautiful sunny day, and we all dressed up in colourful costumes before setting out onto the busy streets. I stopped to buy some water, but afterwards, I couldn't find any of my friends. There were so many people dressed in similar costumes. I looked for them for a while, but then suddenly someone grabbed my hand. Before I could stop them, they pulled me up onto a stage. Everyone was singing and dancing, and I couldn't help joining in. After a short while, I noticed that there was a huge screen next to the stage. It showed all the dancers, and I could see myself dancing on TV. Luckily, my friends saw the screen and met me as I climbed down from the stage. They were laughing so much. At that moment, there was an announcement. To my surprise, there was a prize for the best dancer, and the best dancer was me. When we got back to the hotel, we were tired but very happy. We all had a fantastic time, and my friends had some amazing photos of me on stage.
2I. Curricular. ICT. Exercise 1B, page 38.
Social networks. How do they work? Do you use Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, Friendster, or LinkedIn? If so, then you are part of a social network. Social networking sites allow us to see our social connections. We can see our friends and their friends through pictures and links in a user-friendly interface. When you create a profile on a social networking site, you open up a huge range of possible social connections. You can look up old friends, make new friends, and share music, photos, and videos with them. You can also join groups based on your interests or hobbies, favourite TV shows, or music. Setting up a social networking account is simple. You just create and post a personal profile. For this, you need a login name, password, and an email account. Then you add some personal information, such as name, age, sex, location, interests, etc. You can also add a photo of yourself. You can personalize your profile and share as much information about yourself as you want. You can also control who sees your profile. For example, you can make sure that you only allow the friends that you have added to your network to see it. The next step is to search the network for your contacts, browse for new ones, and add them to your network. You can invite offline friends to join by email, or search for friends who are already signed up by name, school, or workplace. Then you can search your friends' connections for anyone else you'd like to add to your network. Different social networking sites allow people to interact in different ways. There are straightforward sites that allow you to expand your personal community, such as Facebook. Then there are ones that involve media sharing, such as YouTube, where members upload and look at other people's pictures and videos. There are also ones that specialize in sharing music, such as Last.fm. And finally, ones that allow bloggers to form online communities, such as LiveJournal. The latest trend in social networking is to create your own independent social network. Companies do this to promote their brand, and individuals can do it to create a very tight-knit community.
Skills 2. Exercise 1B, page 40.
Hi, Clara. What are you up to?
I was just relaxing a little and doing some reading. I've just finished this book.
Oh, I read that one a few weeks ago.
Really? What did you think of it?
I think the plot was great and I was a little surprised by the ending. I really didn't expect the diamond thief to be his wife's friend. How about you? Did you enjoy it?
It was all right, but I don't think it was such a fantastic story. I also got a little annoyed sometimes because I felt the author was trying to use long sentences and complicated words, and it just didn't suit that kind of a story.
You think so? I don't think I agree with you. I never get bored with his books, and this time, as usual, I couldn't put it down. It was quite an intense story. You never know what's going to happen in his books. And I think he's got an interesting style of writing.
I'm not sure I agree with you, and I don't feel it's the kind of book I would recommend to your average teenager. I think it's more the kind of thing my parents would read.
Come on, Clara. I read it and you read it. I'm sure I'm not the only teen who liked it. It's a bestseller.
Well, I suppose it's a matter of taste.
Right.
Exercise 5A, page 41.
Last summer, on a sunny weekend, my friends David and Peter and I went on a camping trip in the forest. Peter and I had been camping before, but it was the first time for David. He was excited but nervous too. That night, we sat around the campfire telling stories and trying to scare each other with tales of wolves and bears in the forest. After a while, we went to bed. Then, in the middle of the night, I was woken up by David. He looked white when he came running into my tent, insisting that there was a bear close to our tents. David sat shaking with fear while I went to investigate. I soon realised that the bear he heard was just Peter, who was snoring really loudly. David felt really silly, and when we woke Peter up, he was so embarrassed. He didn't know he snored so loudly. We were still laughing about it the next morning when we woke up. That was until we saw that all our food had been eaten, and we saw some large paw prints on the ground around the tents. We stopped laughing and felt relieved that we hadn't realised that there actually had been a bear in our camp.
Exercise 1, page 42. Exercise 2A, page 42.
Square. Rectangular. Triangular. Round. Oval.
Exercise 2B, page 42.
Russian sounds. The Balalaika. When you think of Russian folk music, the Balalaika immediately comes to mind. This wonderful triangular-shaped string instrument from the 17th century is one of Russia's national symbols. The early balalaika was a very simple and cheap instrument to make, and was very popular with poorer people who were living in the countryside. Many wealthy people looked down on the instrument and considered it more like a toy. However, in time, more musicians began to like it and to take it seriously. One 19th century musician by the name of Vasily Vassilievich Andreev had become interested in the balalaika as a young boy and had learnt to play it. Later, when Andreev was working as a musician in the salons of St. Petersburg, he began to write music for the balalaika and perform solo concerts with the instrument. He then created an orchestra with balalaikas of different sizes. It was so successful that the musicians performed at the World Exhibition in Paris in 1889. With this, the balalaika had found its place in modern music and had become popular even with the upper classes in Russia. It would soon become one of the country's national instruments and part of Russian identity.